You're watching another episode of the Roselyn Omaka Show, where I have a special guest, Lisa Alavi, and she is an executive producer alongside her sister Sarah and Margaret Phipps. And we're here to talk about something important, and it's, I don't even want to say it's like a hot topic. Maybe it's a hot topic depending on which line people are on, but this is not a political issue. It's more of a human issue because we love people and we care about people. Refugees. Can you tell me more about this project?
So you said it yourself. It's not a political issue. It is a humanitarian issue. And that's something we touch on a lot throughout our film. There's a lot of misconceptions around refugees, forced migrants, asylum seekers, immigrants in general. A lot of people feel, oh, they're coming in, they're taking our jobs.
Yeah.
But the reality is, they're enriching our society, they're creating jobs, they're applying themselves to entry level positions and jobs that a lot of American born citizens are not applying to because maybe the salary isn't so appealing to them, or because they just have no interest in doing the work. And the reality is, for us to even buy the homes we live in and certain, construction, for that to be at the price that we pay is because there's a lot of people working very hard at rates that maybe we wouldn't have worked at
True.
filling these positions. Alongside that, there are a lot of immigrants and a lot of foreign born individuals that maybe they already have a doctor's degree, they already have an engineering degree, they already are a lawyer, and yet they're still coming here taking entry level positions, working their way up
Because they want to live.
because they not only want to live, but they want to live safely and they want to provide for their family. And so a lot of even our brain tank, our academia, comes from the foreign born population.
Very true. When you think about a lot of people in medical professions, and I would say living here in Houston, if you see all this development and all these investors and all these people making so much money, and it's a boom to this economy, and it's like the people that are doing it, not all of them, like,
Most people, if you think of your doctor today or your dentist, or um, again, a lot of the lawyers, if you were to pass by, you see a billboard on the street, it's not going to be an American born last name or your typical American last name. That right there should tell us how much they're enriching our society. A common theme that you see when you sit in a room and you hear these individuals telling their story, they're so grateful that their family is safe, that they have a roof over their head, and they don't have to worry about if they make it to the next day. That's
if they make it.
such a luxury that we have. At 5, 6 years old, we're playing on bicycles, we're doing jump rope, we're playing tag and hide and go seek.
Yeah.
A lot of the stories that we heard, there's children that are 5 or 6 years old seeing their friend get murdered in front of them. People don't come here, they don't pick up their entire life and move to a country, they don't speak a language just because. They're coming because there's a further drive, there's a need for safety, there's a love for family, for your kids, for the future. You know,
That is so beautiful.
many of the individuals that we spoke to, that we met, when you ask them, how do you describe your country before this happened? At least 2 or 3 said heaven. So no
Wow.
one leaves their idea of heaven, like peace, love on earth. They don't leave their family, their relatives, just because there's there's a further drive. There's a need to protect. There's a need for their child to have a future, for them to have another day, for them to come here.
Wow. I have so much that I'm quiet because I almost
You have individuals coming here, and you have beautiful entities like Amana Refugee Services, who
amazing
has
work.
classes to help integrate refugees into our society. They create a community, they create a family, they create an organization, they create different activities for these beautiful humans to learn English, to feel integrated, to feel a sense of community. Because that's another huge thing that's stripped from them when they come here. Their community.
It's gone. But they have each other.
They have each other.
And then you.
When
And
they
then
ha-
other people that want to be a part. What are some of your favorite success stories that you've seen out of this program with Amana?
so one of them, well, there's quite a few, but I'd say one of the stories in the documentary, uh, beautiful individual. She's from Syria, and her husband was killed. Her parents were killed by a bomb, and it's just one of those bombs that drops indiscriminately, killing many people. So she lost everything she loved. She lost her family. She left Syria. At one point, she even thought about going back, but she didn't have her home there anymore. Because if you don't have your heart there, you don't have your home there. So she left with her children to keep them safe. And she waited, like, I think it was almost 7 years in Jordan before she even came here. But it's a beautiful story because Amana did help her, like, find housing, did help her integrate.
That's amazing.
And one of the most beautiful parts of it is that she's so grateful. Like, when she speaks, nothing but love comes from her. It just pours out of her. So I don't know how you can't
Beautiful.
be touched by something like this.
That's beautiful because life can be seemingly perfect one day, and then you wake up and it's like your world is falling apart, or these leaders, they don't like each other because someone made someone mad, and so many people have to suffer in the process.
And she was one of the individuals that described her country prior as heaven. She was one of the individuals that said she never saw a war coming. So, again, none of these individuals plan it.
Yeah. It's going to be really important for just us together as a people, like put aside skin color, put aside politics, put aside all of these stupid differences, because we all want our families to be safe. We want to be safe. We have dreams, we have similar fears, like we're not all that different. And so what I really like is that this organization, Amana, that y'all are working with, and then just all the work that y'all are putting and bringing out the awareness, like the languages, the housing, the safety, and the community. Because when you don't have community, like, it's one thing, a bomb you don't expect, it destroys your family. People also, when they don't have community, they could die that way as well. And so it's a beautiful, because y'all are honestly helping people in multiple areas, truly multiple areas.
But it's also important to look at, like, all the ways that they're helping us
Yeah.
and enriching our society. And that's another important thing to touch on too. It's not like they just walk in here. No, they're taking a huge risk. They're basically, any asylum seeker, they're taking the biggest risk because they're announcing to their community, to their friends, their family, their loved one, hey, I think it's dangerous, I'm leaving, number one. And number two, they're often by foot, but by various means that can be equally dangerous, life-threatening, harmful, risking injuries. They're crossing various countries, sometimes 4 or so countries, just with the hope someone lets them in and stays. And then even while they're there, they're usually in the waiting game, or they are in the waiting game. They're not usually, they are in a waiting game to try to get a visa And then even when you get a visa, there's so many different types of visas, and a visa is really just a temporary stay. So then that just starts the whole process of immigration lawyer and someone who really knows the law to
Help them with
help from there. So it's a huge process. It's not like to just hop over or swim over. And even the counter arguments about just like being brought in through like trafficking or smuggling, those things are done by people who are demanding it. And it's not the ones from that country that's demanding it. And those are the people who are taking advantage of these people to bring them in like that.
we have a huge
They're
problem.
taking advantage.
Yeah, that's crazy. We have a problem down here in the South, and I know some undercover officers, and it's just crazy of like what happens to people.
But yeah, and you have to look at it, at accountability. America and Western countries are the ones demanding the supply of these things from other countries. So it's, I mean, with any problem, you have to look at the source. Like, it wouldn't be in production. These things wouldn't be happening if there wasn't a demand. So who's demanding it and who's using it? There's a different kind of accountability that has to be put at play.
I'm looking for a pin to drop, like just a mic drop, pin drop. Ooh, ooh, that's the source. So supply and demand. So there's a demand.
And even, and that's just with Latin America. Then if you look at the Middle East, or you look at um, Arab countries or Muslim countries, then there's also the rebuttal terrorism, bringing terrorism in.
Yeah.
First off, these people are leaving because they're trying to escape. Whether you're from the Middle East and you're trying to escape terrorism, or if you're from Latin America and you're trying to, like one of our ladies was from Honduras, trying to escape certain gangs.
My friend's mom from Venezuela.
They're not bringing the gang. They're not bringing these things. They're trying to escape it. And terrorism is not a religion thing. It's very important we're clear on that, because no religion toots, for lack of a better word, no one stands for terrorism. Yeah. Terrorism is really, it's just a power play in the name of politics. Things were so fortunate to have the luxury to have access to. These people are asking for the basics, the right to safety for their family, a future, and just, the chance of seeing tomorrow.
This is really beautiful, the work that you're doing with Amana. What do you, with the work that you're doing with them, where do you see yourself partnering with them in the work that you do? Just you individually yourself.
So something that we've talked with Gita Nabolsi, she's the CEO of Amana, is continuing this potentially, like creating maybe more documentaries, touching on different types of segments, depending on what also speaks to the viewer, what they want to see more of, what they want to learn more of. So, and it's really, it's a team. It's a team effort, alongside Sarah Alavi, my sister, and Margaret Phipps, who's amazing. But really, I think education makes the biggest difference, and that's what we're trying to do with this documentary. It's actually a huge reason why we transferred the documentary to YouTube, because
Awareness.
It's completely free and everyone has access. Where some streaming networks, you have to have a membership or you have to pay to view. This is completely free. Everyone has access. Yeah. And frankly, you could be playing it even the same time you're doing your dishes or while you're doing chores around the house if you're tight on schedule, because every little bit of information, whether that's statistics or every little story that connects you to another human, and you realize, hey, we bleed the same blood.
Yeah.
You learn something, So even if you're just getting a soundbite here or there, those sound bites add up. And that's really how we can improve society as a whole, is growing that awareness, growing that compassion, growing the love, growing the education, to have meaningful conversations around both this topic and other topics.
Yeah.
Starts with education. Only through awareness.
Yeah.
Like, can your heart grow, your mind grow? Can you realize how connected we truly are?
I agree with everything you said, and I have an idea. Because I would want to see this. And I'd want to see it for not just the refugees, but also, and listen, feel free to like give me all of your opinions in the comments. But I know what I would like to request from everybody that's in this room. When you think about refugees and the journey, I think that would be really amazing to highlight any case studies on video. They talk about their pain points, but then everybody that helped them along the journey, or a program like Amana, like the resources, and then that path to starting over. Because really, really quick, the only reason why I say that is not just for refugees that are gonna be watching and like they need help and there's like a pathway, but also for even Americans here that for some strange reason, regardless of all the resources that we have available, and they're just trying to figure out like how do I make my life a little bit better? I feel like that could be a learning lesson for everybody.
So the one thing I'll counter to that is I don't feel there needs to be a documentary of them expressing their gratitude for people.
No, but like education part.
I think they're already so immensely grateful, and it's like in every conversation you have, they pour of love. But I do think
I'm thinking of like
like a documentary that is kind of showing their step-by-step integration.
Yeah.
That could definitely be useful, because I think it's important for people to see they don't just hop over a wall or swim on over, whatever.
I think that process would help.
Bogus assumptions are. There's a huge process that entails. And we were very fortunate to sit down with executive director of the South Texas office for refugees, Kimberly Haynes, and she's extremely well versed and extremely educated, and she hits on a lot of these things as far as like their integration, what it really is like, what it really means to be an asylum seeker versus a refugee, what it is to be all the different like visas, covering what that really means to have a visa, because there's multiple types, and then a visa is just a temporary stay. So those steps after that, a lot of these people, there's a huge waiting period, a praying period, a hoping period, just to get to the visa. And then once they have the visa, because it's temporary, the game's just begun. Like it's not over. So I think creating education not only for what that process is like for an individual, which I'm very proud of our documentary because we cover some of that, but also something we touch on, which I think would be beneficial to highlight more if we were to continue. Yeah. And the documentary is all the individual steps, aside from the political process, the individual steps these beautiful humans are taking to integrate into society, whether that's learning English, because they are, and some of them, they speak such beautiful English, you wouldn't even like, you would think they've been here for years.
Better than us, better than me.
There were some individuals we met, their English is so beautiful that you would think they've been living here for a while. But it may have been merely a few months, but it's just that desire. It's the desire for a better tomorrow. You know, it and it's love, pure divine love for their family and the people they care about. The basic human things we all want: the roof over our head, the people you love safe in the bed, food on the table. You know, like basics. That's really the driver for them. So little things like learning English or learning how to drive in a new country, learning how to use new appliances in a new country.
Especially over here when people drive crazy.
Mm-hmm. And then something else that Amana does that's so beautiful is they have the Amana Lions, which is a soccer team.
I was about to say, what is that?
And it's funny because you may think like, well, how does soccer sports tie into this, right? But at the end of the day, these people, these beautiful people, they go through so much hardship. And then to be able to play, the luxury of play, to play and find community and to find safety and laughter with another human, how connective is that? And so Amana really does a beautiful job of creating community for these people, creating a family outside their family. Because again, they've left all that. They're starting all over.
And they're playing football. That's the sport that everyone loves. And I know the
It's
guys.
like the most international sport.
Yes, they're all getting to that's fun. I know we talk about all the serious stuff and it's definitely serious issues. And then it's like when we think about that community with other similar people that have similar stories, and then you're just having fun.
It's funny because, you know, they say like music's an international universal language, but even like, you know, sports or playing or certain things that are nonverbal, those are universal languages too, and they're a beautiful way to bring people together. And to be honest, it's probably more diverse than the United Nations when you get a soccer team.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking of so many awesome things, and I know we will definitely. Oh, go ahead and actually let's talk about how we can support them, so that way there's more eyes and awareness. Because I think that's so cool.
So
all the stuff they're doing.
So another benefit of moving our documentary to YouTube, because we did have it on other streaming platforms before, is not only is it completely free to view, but we do have ads worked into it. So the ads at no extra cost to anyone, they are a way to generate income. So the more views, the more ads played throughout the video, the more shares. These also can help us acquire funds to also give back and partner up with Amana Refugee Services. And there's different ways people can outreach to Amana Refugee Services to find ways to volunteer. They also do food drives. They've done different like disaster relief help, like when there was the freeze. They really do a beautiful job all around. And then I would say just at the grassroots levels, when you meet someone from a different culture, religion, ethnicity, background, it's just being a little more open, opening your heart with love, because we all come from our own backgrounds, but at the root of it, we're all human. We all have way more in common than we have different. And just by having compassion and love for someone who has a different walk of life than you, that right there, I think that's the start, you know, to change.
That was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for joining, and thank you for even taking the time to do all this and working with these amazing ladies here. Like, it's really beautiful and impactful. And I now am aware, and I know I would have not known about any of this if it weren't for y'all. Truly. So thank you. And I hope you guys really enjoyed this very special episode. I hope you share it with your friends, and we will see you